Welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. I'm your host, Coach Joe Lucas, and in this episode, number 348, believe it or not, I want to talk about a topic that is incredibly important, which is investing, but not in the terms of investing in the markets or stock or bond or Bitcoin or crypto or anything like that. For an advisor, the most important investment you can make is investing in yourself. So before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit about who I am. If you do not know, I have been coaching advisors for now. By the time this episode airs, it will be my 32nd anniversary. And so I'll be entering my 33rd year. February 15th, 1994 was the first day of my journey as a coach in the financial advisor space. So many decades, a lot of changes. Some of the things are still the same. And today in this episode, let's talk about why it is a must for you, the advisor, to be investing in yourself. And let me make a qualification here right now. I'm going to say this term, but it's not about me or my firm. Here's the term. Let me just get it out of the way. I truly believe if you're absolutely committed to maximizing your potential as a financial advisor, you must, not optional, you must be involved with some sort of coaching program or a personal coach. And I'm not saying it has to be myself or my firm. There are plenty of good firms out there, and I don't even look at them as competitors, right? There's CEG for one, which John does a great job, and what John and his people do. There's Client Works, and Ray does a great job with what they do and their people, and so on. So it's not about getting you guys to come under my tent. There are plenty of tents, but you need to find your tent is where I'm going at. Okay, let's talk about this for a little bit. So why is this important? And where can we draw a parallel in other places, right? So let's look at professional sports. I think everybody can relate to that. If you look at any super successful, highly regarded athlete, whether it's an individual sport or a team sport, you're going to notice some very stark similarities. From golf to tennis to football to basketball, it really does not matter. The best have a team around them. So if you're a professional athlete, you're probably going to have, and this is just off the top of my head, you're probably going to have a personal trainer. You're probably going to have a masseuse or a body worker. You're probably going to have a nutritionist or even a personal chef, right? You're going to have a sports psychologist, maybe on the team or at least on call. An assistant. I mean, you're going to invest, and this is your capital. You're going to invest in surrounding yourself with the right people so you can be the best version of yourself. That's what athletes, I forget what I read. I don't quote me on the exact numbers, but I read an article, it was probably a couple of years ago, that LeBron James invests definitely over $1 million a year in just his body. When he goes on vacation on the private yacht in the Mediterranean, he packs up his team and he flies them with him. Like they're doing their conditioning, they're doing stretching, they're doing all that while he's on vacation. Why? Commitment to excellence. So here's what I'm going to say. If you're committed to being the best version of you inside the game of being an advisor, then you must be willing to invest in yourself. Now, before we get into what I recommend and the rules that not only do I apply to myself, but also what I coach my clients on, is let's talk about why somebody wouldn't. And because some of you may be listening or watching me, and you're in that camp, like, I don't need it, or I had a bad experience, or. So what is the number one and number, like 1A and 1B, in my experience, why does an advisor accept coaching? Ego and arrogance. That's it. They have a big ego. I don't need it. I'm good. Arrogance. And what's really funny about this is going to you find fascinating, and I have a very unique perspective on this after 32 years, is that I coach today some of the personally coach some of the most successful people in this business. We're talking eight-digit shops, 8-digit top lines, right? Multiple 9-digit valuations. And what's fascinating is, and they'll tell me, Like when they're out and about at conferences or events and they start talking about tell me how you did it and stuff like that. And like to a person, they'll say, again, you have to like be dedicated to that. Then you said you have to find the right coach. And a lot of times the advisors they're talking to who are not nearly as successful or like almost borderline flabbergasted that you have a coach, but you're doing like all these millions of dollars of business and stuff like that. And my clients will say, yeah, well, how do you think we do that? And it kind of blows them away in that you actually invest or in their mind pay and you pay to get coached, but you're so successful. That's the difference. And so how does ego and arrogance work? I don't need help. It's not going to work for me. Or what they did, and this is, and look, I'm not knocking this as an industry or profession, but I want to be very clear on this. If you're an advisor and you think you can go to like the local chamber of commerce and get the random person who is a certified coach, life or business, doesn't matter, and you think they're going to do a great job for you, look, I'm just going to say bluntly, they're not. And why is that? Because our game is very unique. They don't understand the C word, compliance, right? They don't understand the game. So again, whether it's myself or my colleagues, all of us, John, Ray, myself, I mean, we've been at this thing for decades. Like we know the game. And that's the specialty you're looking for. To invest money into somebody that they're going to learn on you, because that's what they do, by the way. Like, they don't know, so now they're going to learn on you. So you're teaching them, right? You're not going to make the progress. And this is, I mean, years ago, I'm talking like years ago, maybe decades now, when somebody would come into my world, it would be by and large 90% of the time they've never worked with a coach before. So, and that was beautiful because they had no preconceived notions. It was more of a mystery to them. And I was able to shape perspective, expectations, standards, all that, right? And it was beautiful. And I'll say it respectfully, it was a lot easier, right? Because I didn't have to deal with anything. Today, they could be on their fourth situation and the first three were not good. And they want to know why we're going to be different. And I go through why we're different. But I still have to overcome that. So I'll say this. If this is like the concept of the baby in the bathwater. If you're in a coaching situation and you're not finding value, it's two things or a combination. Number one, it just may be not the right person or program for you. And that does happen, by the way. And you're just not applying yourself. The question is like, how can one person have tremendous results in a program and another person doesn't? There's only two reasons. Number one, the wrong person is in the wrong person in the wrong program, or the right person's in the program, but they're not applying it, not doing the work, right? And therefore, it causes it to fail. And therefore, does the advisor look at themselves in the mirror and go, "Oh man, I screwed this up"? No. Oh, that program, it doesn't work, right? So whatever program or relationship, and there's a difference, by the way, I do both. We do both here. Make sure you're committed to doing the work. Because if you don't do the work, it's not the coach's or the firm's fault. Look in the mirror. There it is. So ego and arrogance, and this is shocking to me. And I'm not gonna bore everybody with like probably 300 stories at least. I've had for my entire coaching career basically an open door policy, and that basically means that any financial advisor can have 30 minutes with my time gratis. All they need to do is go to like coachjoe.guru, and there's an intro call link there, or Zooms these days. And I'll chat with anybody for 30 minutes. No, not a sales call. Just kind of see how I can help. What's fascinating is that the people that have been, or the advisors, I should say more specifically, who have been what I call the perpetual startup mode. Now, what does that mean? Perpetual startup means that for the last decade, they're reinventing. They're starting from ground zero again. Their growth is flatlined, plateaued, right? They're telling themselves the same story year after year. They're making excuses year after year. And their brain is like, well, I can't afford this. I said, well, nothing personal. I mean, we're not asking you to go take a mortgage. And you know what? just because you're a $500,000 guy or gal and you have a $500,000 lifestyle, that's not our fault. It's just not. That's like poor financial planning, the cobbler kid who has no shoes. So I think a lot of times advisors look at coaching as a cost. And I'll tell you right now, if you're looking at a cost, then we're probably not a good fit in our world because we always look at it as an investment, and you absolutely have to expect a return on that investment. So let's talk about some guidelines, right? And I'm going to give you my core philosophies, and I'll tell you my story of what I do and how I advise my clients. So first off, I subscribe to the same concept like athletes. It takes a village. Okay, it takes a village. So to fund that village, and hear me out, and I don't care if you're 1 month in the business or 40 years in the business, it's irrelevant, same rule set. So here are the rules. Take 10%, and I'll let you decide how you want to play, gross or net. That's up to you, right? Because everybody's got some of you guys are business owners, right? And so you can just line item it. Some of you are W-2, so it's going to be more of a net game, and that's fine too. But 10% of whatever the number is, how you want to play it. And you break it up into two categories. Category one, direct performance coaching for advisors. Okay? And that's 5%. And I'll play this in a second with you guys. The other 5% is to make you better. That's the personal trainer. That's the nutritionist. That could be the concierge doctor. That could be the weekly masseuse, the therapist, if you need that, right? And just as a sidebar, for many years, I've had, and my family's had the same therapist on basically retainer, right? So any member of my family could go grab a slot with him whenever we need it. That's done virtual. And I'm not ashamed to say that because I think every once in a while, everybody needs to have an outsider's professional perspective on things, right? So that's part of our budget. So you have that. Then the 5% again is coaching, right? So how does that look in the world? First couple of years, let's just say you're a $100,000 person. Again, gross and net doesn't matter to me. So that's $10,000. So you've got 5,000 a year for coaching, right? So that's probably going to be more of a group. And let me say this very quick. You're better off in a group with a great coaching program than alone, personally, with a person that doesn't know what they're doing. I'm just telling you right now, from a results standpoint. And then you got 5,000 to, right? Invest in personal training, gyms, body work, nutrition, whatever you want. Okay. Now, move that to $500,000. Huh. All right. So now I got 50,000. So I got 25. Now you can do some really cool things, right? You can go, get one of the best personal coaches for yourself. You can do several if you need to, right? You can go to the best nutritionist, the best body worker, the best private gym. You can invest in all those things, right? From that perspective. And then where do conferences fit? Like somebody said, well, Joe, I want to go to this conference, right? And I'll say this, if you're going to conferences because you want to learn, then you could put it in either bucket or split it. That's totally fine. I don't care how you do it. If you're going to a conference to kind of screw off and do everybody's hospitality suites and happy hours and stuff like that, I don't know if I'd want to count that because you're going there to really just have some fun and relax, and maybe you'll pick up a couple things, but you're really not there for it. Designations would obviously fall in my brain, it falls outside of the coaching. It would go on the other side, right? So if you're going to go for your CFP or your CMA or whatever else is the IFA, whatever else is out there, right? You go do that. It fits in those buckets. C credits, same thing. So at 500 grand, right? You have 50K, you do a lot of things. You get to 7 figures, you can do the best of the best. You can go hire one of the top personal coaches in the space. You can go get a chair in most of the exclusive masterminds in the space, and all that, right? Go do that. And then on the other side, the world's your oyster at that point. You can go to any conference, any mastermind group, anything you want to do, and it's good. And is there, some of you are going to say, where's the cap? There is none. There is none. If LeBron James can invest at least $1 million a year in his body, maybe that's the cap. I don't know for us, right? I'm not there yet, so I don't know. But when we do planning for our clients, when I sit down with my personal clients and we go over their game plan for the year, in which we just got done with the whole rounds last month. We have a dedicated module in our planning process that we call a personal professional development game plan and budget. And we make sure that, again, there's always some discretionary stuff, but we want that game plan laid out for the year and how we're going to invest it. And we're going to invest it right with intention and it being very, very well thought out. And that's what we do. That will expand. And by the way, it's all pre-tax, so tax deductible. This will accelerate your development, accelerate your growth, accelerate your P&L, and you get a great return. Coaching and personal development is one of the greatest returns you can get as a professional in this game. See, a lot of you believe that your issues are external, which is my firm, compliance, my lead gen sucks, or I stroked a check for this lead gen program. We're going to do an episode on those in a little bit. And it's not producing results and da-da-da. And what's funny about this, and I'm not going to get into the future episode here, but here's the thing. If it works for one advisor, so like I'm not going to get into names in this episode, but if a lead gen program or seminar program, workshop program works for several advisors and it's not working for you, guess what? It is not the program. It is you. And that's bitter for a lot of very ego-driven human beings, borderline arrogant. That's a tough one to accept. In fact, you probably won't accept it because that means that it's a you problem, not an it problem, and that's just a tough pill. But that's the reality. So here's what I do. I have a budget, it's 6 figures. And as I'm recording this right now, I'm in 2 different coaching programs, 2 different organizations, entrepreneurial coaching programs. I have a personal coach through one of those programs. Okay. That's my current jam. That's on the coaching side. Now on the other side, I have the personal trainer, the personal training gym. I have the concierge doctor, right? I already said we have therapists on call. And in the past, I've invested in, I'll share this, it's going to sound, some of you like, wow. There was a mentor of mine many, many years ago, like I'm talking like 30 years ago. His name is Jay Abraham. He's a business development expert, probably one of the best, not in this space, but just in business in general. And it's like 4 years ago, and he was hosting a 2-day, I want you to hear this, 2 days, 48 hours, like mastermind meetup kind of thing. I think there was like 30 people in the room, so it wasn't like even that intimate. And the investment for the chair was $25,000. That didn't include getting yourself there, the hotel or anything. It just means you get a seat for 2 days. $25,000. I want you to think about that. 2 days. And I came away with 2 ideas, and I made a good return on actually I take that back, a great return on my investment. The other thing I did a couple of years ago, I joined a mastermind group by Bo Eason. He's a speaking coach. That was $50,000 for the year. That included a hotel, the travel, and that was out. And I'm on the East Coast. All that was on the West Coast. Wasn't easy getting back and forth. $50,000, right? If you have the budget, see the beauty of setting the budget like early in the year. You got to invest it. Like you can't have cash at the end of the day, and that keeps you real. It keeps you committed, right? Because you've allocated it. Most advisors, when I talk about like, hey man, like what's your personal development budget? They look at me like, what are you talking about? Like, what's that? And it's fundamental. So 10%, 5 and 5. Net or gross, I don't care how you do it. But it has to be reinvested to make you a better version of who you are, both personally and professionally. All right? So I'm going to leave you with this thought. I'm going to get out of here. Take me up on my challenge. Take your 10%, interview coaches, pick one that you resonate with, or interview or evaluate programs, pick one you think you resonate with, and then apply yourself inside that program or that relationship. Thank you for watching or listening, or both, this episode of Magellan Network Show. If this made any sense to you, like today's video or podcast. Make sure you follow us on whatever channel or how you're consuming our content. And please forward this episode to a colleague in the game who you think would value it. And if you want to check out our program, it's MagellanNetwork.net, MagellanNetwork.net. See you all again next week.